What an incredible hour we have got right now. We have to take deep breaths for this hour as well and get ourselves immersed into the world of watercolour. This is the first of 3 craft-alongs with the one and only Matthew Palmer. Good evening.
Hello, how are we doing?
I'm good. Are you ready and steady?
You can smell the fear. You really can. I'm looking forward to this one.
I have never watercoloured, so I'm looking forward to this as well, because actually 2 things in this show. 1, I get to sit down, which is a real rarity for me here, and 2, I've never watercoloured, so I'm really looking forward to this. But listen, and I'm not going to get in the way of this show whatsoever. I'm just going to be over there quietly following instructions. Not even instructions, guidance. It's wonderful. I saw the last show with Paola and it was just a dream to watch, and a dream to watch the magic come together. Now, this is a 3-week craft along. We'll do part 1 tonight, and then there will be another craft along next Tuesday at 9 p.m. and there will be another one the week after at 9 p.m. And the whole 3 projects here, basically your access to them is opened for a £5. It's ridiculous. So don't think it's too late to come in on this as well, by the way, because you can easily come back to tonight's show on Rewind and catch up on that, and then join in with weeks 2 and 3 for £5. This is what it blows my mind completely. So it is your own personal watercolor painting course. It is that one-to-one tuition with Matthew, and all we need is what is here right now. And do you know what? The key is in the brush. For me, the key is in the brush for this as well, because if you're using the brush that Matthew's using, that whoever's presenting is using as well, you get similar results. You get the same kind of results as you expect that you are seeing right now. That's true, Matthew, isn't it?
It is, and what we've given you here actually is really super quality. I mean, for £5, this is great, because not only do you get the tuition, but you get, you know, artist quality paints. You get the palette, you get the paper, you get the mounts, you get the 3 lessons, and that super brush, which is wonderful.
And that paint will do all 3 of our
and if you're careful, it may even go a bit further than 3.
Fabulous.
Possibly, you know, it'll probably do 3 or 4 pictures.
Yeah.
Maybe even 5.
I just love this. And now remember, even though that this is starting tonight here in this hour, and we will get cracking in a couple of minutes, I promise you, I'm not going to keep you waiting at all. But for that £5 right now, you will get all of the materials that you need to come in and join in week 2 and in week 3. And listen, even if this doesn't arrive for you in time for next Tuesday night, you've got the rewinds, and they're on for 60 days, so you can still be very much part of this for a £5 note. It is ridiculous. 565 474. Now, there are hundreds, if not thousands of you who are here right now who have this kit already, who are sitting, waiting and saying, how long are you going to be waffling on, Derek, before we get on with this? The answer is not very long at all, I promise you. But for those people who want to get in on this, and I am one of those as well, because I'm late to the party here as well, 565 474 is your item number for that. Now, at the bottom of the screen as well, I just want to highlight details of this as well, because Watercolour TV is Matthew Palmer on tap, and unlimited watercolour projects, isn't it, available to you just by a membership there for a whole year. But we're doing 15 months for the price of a year, aren't we?
Yeah, so this is a craft store special, it really is. So normally what you get with Watercolour TV is almost 14 years worth of me teaching paint, the back catalogue, new stuff. In fact, only yesterday I actually did an exclusive live Watercolour sunset for the summer solstice, just for Watercolour TV members. So there's over 250 tutorials on Watercolour TV. You pay that yearly, well actually 15-month subscription. Here you go. So we're giving you 3 months free for $49.99, and you get unlimited access to printable worksheets, high definition videos, and there's new stuff added all the time, and special exclusive live broadcasts as well.
And it's on 2 flexis with us as well, so you can split that down into 2 payments of £25. It's brilliant, and it is yours to enjoy as you want to. And it's kind of projects that you will want to do as well. We're going to show you, we're going to go straight to the website, actually go and have a look at Watercolour TV there. So that's the kind of content that you will have access to. Paint-alongs, like the kind of thing that we're going to do for the next hour, but an endless library.
Absolutely, there is basically, there's over 1,000 hours of tuition on here, folks. Remember, there's 14 years worth of me teaching, new stuff added literally all the time as well. So it's a mammoth archive of watercolour tuition, everything from seascapes, landscapes, flowers, animal paintings in there. and just it's got some wonderful set courses for complete beginners, absolute beginners, people that are a bit more adventurous. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with it.
Fabulous. Right, okay, well, I am now, I'm sitting here ready. I look so small, It does feel like I'm at school right now. You said the good start was like a few deep breaths.
Yeah, you know, a bit like sort of meditation kind of thing, that's always good. And also loosen your wrists as well.
Okay.
We can do that because it's just got 9 o'clock. Now what we'll do, what we'll do is we'll take
Stop
focus. We'll take some masking tape,
Yeah.
and we'll take four pieces of masking tape, and we're going to stick the paper to the board. Don't overlap too much of your paper, Derek, will you, on this one, because we're trying to keep the maximum amount of working space. And in this kit that we are giving you for £5, we are giving you this roll of masking tape, we're giving you a board, we're giving you 4 sheets of premium watercolour paper, we're giving you 2 bevel mounts, which really add that finishing touch to your pictures, and we're giving you the 3 colours, the palette and the brush, all for a £5. This is a cracking deal, folks, it really is. And of course, the most important bit, 3 weeks of watercolour tuition. You will be amazed what you can produce in these 3 weeks. So make sure you get yourself one of the kits and paint along with the 3 colours. So if you stick all 4 sides, and that's where to stick it basically, so we know that bit, and then once it's nicely stuck down, press it down firmly, and then we're going to go straight in here. We're going to go straight in and we're going to grab that brush. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Good,
Yeah,
buzzing.
good.
You can sense the atmosphere
I'm
going
ready.
through the roof in the studio.
So ready for this.
So what we'll do is we'll get plenty of water and wet the entire sheet of paper. We're going to paint in the sky and some sea, because we're going to paint a seascape lesson 1 here. So from the 3 lessons that we're going to do. So plenty of water going in.
Literally
And
the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and don't be afraid to add quite a bit of water with the brush. Get a nice coverage. And if you wobble the board a little bit, you'll sort of see any dry patches. No dry patches,
Okay.
plenty of wet patches.
Right.
Check yourself for wet patches, won't you, as
Okay.
well? Make sure it's all nicely covered. You've got a nice coverage coming through here. So I'm wetting it a couple of times, all right? Is it all nice and shiny? Keep that water going. Keep sticking the brush in the water.
Yeah.
Keep covering it all through. There you go.
Okay.
Smashing stuff.
Good.
More water. Keep it going. Keep going. Keep adding water. Wobble the board. Watercolour paper is designed to be not saturated but well soaked.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. How are we doing?
Yeah, all
Is
good.
Is it moist?
I think so, yeah.
Beautiful. Let's go for it then. We could keep going all night. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the palette. Pick up the palette, that's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? Pick up the palette. And water on the brush and pop a little blob of water next to the blue. Can you see how the blue just comes alive? All right. You don't want to put too much water because that blob of blue will go quite a long time. It'll do 4 or 5 pictures and straight on to the top of the picture, and that's your first bit of watercolour. Straight across the top. Now, perfect, there you go, spot on, you can't go wrong. So the water that's on the paper is allowing the paint to flow. Leave a few white gaps, you know, for clouds.
Ah, yeah.
And just horizontally, as though you're putting emulsion paint on your walls, just keep it going. Keep it going all the way down to the bottom in horizontal lines. Just continue it down. Forward and back, forward and back. Use the whole brush flat to the paper, and that'll give you something, a stripy looking blue sheet of paper, yeah? Now, yours is a bit dry.
Okay.
So what I'm going to say is if you just put some more water on that bottom part of the picture, don't be afraid of the water. Slap it on. It's free.
It is actually, isn't it? Yeah. Got a whole jar. Yeah.
Just don't drink it, will you?
Okay. No.
Straight across. The craft store water, the finest water in England.
It is. It's wonderful. It's from
You can buy it in
Oundle as well.
bottles soon, apparently,
Oundle's very sought after as a postcode.
It's
isn't
premium water is Oundle, yeah. Same as me, I live near Buxton, you see, so we get premium water as well. Yeah.
You do, and you're
You can
not
buy it in
bottling
bottles.
it.
And Peckham Spring's another one as well that's really quite good as well.
Peckham?
Peckham Spring, yeah. Google it. Other search engines are available.
Peckham Spring.
Now, once you've kind of filled it in, have you filled it in? Is it a bit patchy maybe?
Are we a bit dark, do you think? Maybe?
It's a bit later in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works,
That's
doesn't it?
fine
Okay.
by me, yeah.
Now what we'll do is we'll make the blue a little bit stronger by, can you see on the screen here, can you see my palette? You can.
Yeah.
It's a little bit stronger there, look, because I want to go a bit darker at the top, just a little bit darker at the top. So I'm just putting a couple of strokes of darkness at the top and at the bottom as well. So just top and bottom, almost like a mirror, a reflection of each other. Just that little bit stronger is what I want to do. And that is a watercolour sky. If you take a look at some of the pictures, I don't know if you can see the pictures around here at the side of me, but pretty much all of those have got a blue sky, and they've all started off the same way. Here, for example, the Caribbean beach there, or it's Oundle in about 1,000 years' time maybe. But this all started off the same. It all started off wet paper, put the blue on, and again, we spoke about this, but Watercolor TV, if you're a member of it, you get access to lots of what you can see here and so much more, from complete beginners, holding your hand right through. This atmospheric picture here, there's a full 90-minute tutorial online of how to paint that lighthouse scene. It's wonderful.
Stunning, isn't it?
What we're going to do now is we're going to leave this to dry for a couple of minutes. We're pretty quick, and then we'll come back to it.
Okay, I'm just, I was just making mine just a little bit,
That's fine. That's a good, it works for me. It works.
So far, so good. You know when you can't see it at the beginning?
Yeah.
But when I was watching with Paola, I was like, oh gosh, I had no idea that's how watercolour pieces came together, that it was a wash and then it's almost like layers that you build up.
Yes.
Your mind just doesn't naturally think that way, does it?
Yeah, exactly. And if you didn't have the tuition, you wouldn't really know where to go. So this is a perfect opportunity to get yourself started in watercolours.
We've had an email in from Jean. Thank you, Jean. She says, good evening, Matthew and Derek. This is Jean's first time painting, she says. She's very, very excited indeed. And also, look, it's £5. It's £5 and you're not too late, even though we've started this and there's another one next Tuesday night at 9 o'clock with a different picture as well, by the way. We've got 3 different pictures. In fact, I need to get this picture from tonight here as well on the table. But then we've got 2 more weeks as well, but you're not too late to the party. You can still be part of it. All the materials you need for just £5, 565 474. So jump onto the website right now and grab that. Susan's really looking forward to the show. If you want to email in, the address is about to come in at the bottom of the screen there as well. It's studio@thecraftstore.com. Who said that? Susan said, Matthew's so talented.
She's not seen me dance, has she?
I'm going to need all the luck, I think. As a brat, I've never watercoloured at all. Anyway, Matthew.
It needs really maybe another 30-40 seconds to dry, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to paint in some distant mountains. But if you sat at home watching this, either just pop it to one side for 30 seconds or grab a hairdryer and give it a quick blast. But we'll come back in about 30 seconds.
Okay, well, we're going to have a look as well at week 2 and week 3, because the scene that we're painting tonight is this wonderful, and this is a coastal scene. If I show you it on my overhead, shall I? Shall we show you on that one? There you go. Oh no, I haven't got an overhead, have I? Sorry. Now this is Harlech, was it?
Yes. So this place here, this is Harlech Castle. That's the scene we're going to base the picture on tonight. Harlech is in North Wales, and the mountains in the background are Snowdon. We all know Snowdon, of course, being the tallest mountain in England and, of course, Wales. And it's a place where I still spend a lot of time painting, and it's the place I learnt to paint in watercolours when I was a little sprog, when I was a boy.
Ah, not too many years ago.
About 5 years ago.
Next, of course, naturally, next week at 9 o'clock at this time, we have got, this looks like the kind of holiday cottage that I enjoy every single year, sort of November time down in Cornwall. It takes me straight there.
It's a it's a nice picture to paint this one next week. And again, different techniques on each lesson from the 3.
It's beautiful. So that's next week's Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. And then in 2 weeks' time, on the 6th of July, look at this. Now this is the one that you did the warm-up with Paolo, wasn't it? Did you do the warm-up for the sky and the trees, didn't you? The technique for the trees.
Yeah, a similar kind of style
Yeah.
sky, but each picture that we've got here has not been actually done on Hochanda. So these are all brand new lessons. But craft store is what I meant to say. It
It's okay. So you just say Hochanda Global if ever you say
Hochanda
that, because that's
Global.
still the company name.
I'll make a note of that one.
We just changed to the craft store for the telly. No other change. Another email in from Amanda, who is loving the show and can't wait to see how she progresses. Are we dry enough?
I think we're
yet,
dry.
do you
And
think?
yeah, so
How do we
masking
know?
tape again. If the shine's gone,
Okay.
gone, and you can give it a tap. If there's no fingerprints, then it's dry.
Cool.
But watercolour dries within a couple of minutes, okay? Of course, you can use hair dryers. More masking tape. Let's take a piece of masking tape. If your masking tape at home is very sticky, just kind of run your fingers over it a few times. But the stuff we've got here is perfect. And what we'll do, we'll pop this on about a quarter of the way up the paper. So fairly low down. So can you see where I've popped that tape there? So basically, it's where my finger is kind of where the top edge of the tape is. It's about a quarter of the way up, a straightish line. Press it down really well. And that's where we're going to paint in these mountains, okay?
Yes, perfect.
And once you've put that tape on, we're going to paint in the distant Snowdonia National Park, which sounds more complicated than what it actually is. So what we'll do is we're going to... How are we doing with your sticking? Good, yeah? Good?
Yeah, all done.
Okay, all stuck. Okay, so back to the palette then. And what we'll do here is we'll clean the brush and we'll get some more blue. A little bit stronger than the blue we used before, folks, but not a huge amount. Look how a little bit goes a long way. And watercolour never goes off. Never goes off. And add a little tiny bit of the red, which is the last colour on the palette here. This is natural red. So we've got natural blue, orange and red. So natural red goes on. And it makes the blue go a little bit towards a lilac kind of purple. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. And we'll take that colour and we're going to paint in the first part of these distant mountains. Very simply, hold your brush like a pen. It's full of colour. Nice and close in. Make sure the tape is stuck, Derek, as well. Give it a good firm press down. And just use the whole brush and paint in some mountains at the back, trying to avoid pyramids. So we'll go up and we'll paint a line. Keep refilling the brush. We'll take it across, something like that. So a bit of a wobbly line here, okay? What we'll do then is we'll work down towards the tape, but not all the way, not all the way. Probably about halfway down towards the tape. Start to fill it in a little bit, okay? Use your brush like a crayon, a pencil crayon. Clean that brush, clean your brush once you've got to about halfway. So it's not quite down to the tape, yeah? Not quite, almost, but not quite. Once you've sort of gone across and you've sort of filled in about half of it, have you got some kitchen paper on the side of where you sat painting? A bit of kitchen roll, a bit of kitchen paper is quite useful. It's useful in case you start crying, but also it's quite useful. It's useful to tap off the excess water. So pick water, give it a couple of taps, no more. 2 taps on tissue is all you want. And then just add water and basically blend. Can you see I'm dragging the colour down? So I'm basically going right to the edge of those mountains there, Derek, and I'm basically pulling it down and clean the brush. It's diluting your colour and it's blending the paint away, if that makes sense, yeah? So clean your brush a second time, give it a couple of taps. You don't want a wet brush, you want a moist brush. Bring it down. There you go, and it sort of softens in. Can you see it? It looks a bit misty. Looks a little bit misty. Distant mountains. Are you with me on this one? Are we on the same page?
Absolutely.
Are we on the same page? He's got a tongue out over there. That's a good sign.
Yeah,
if your tongue's out,
I knew
it
I'd
means
go
you're
silent.
concentrating.
But I think the audience are like, oh yeah, good. He's quiet for a change. He's never
Look
quiet.
at those mountains, eh?
He's never quiet. They do look very moody now.
It's good. I like it.
Atmospheric, not moody. Atmospheric. Sorry, I haven't got the artist speak yet, but I'm getting there.
It's amazing when you start painting after a few paintings, you start to look at things like skies, you know, and like trees and things, and you start to, you know, think about the colours of things as well. So that's the distant mountains, that's the distant ones. We're going to make these mountains a little bit darker on the left side, okay? Which means that once you've kind of filled that in and you're giving it a bit of a blend, which you've got there, it's now a case of making the colour darker, more towards a grey. Now, how do you get a grey from blue, red and orange? Well, I'll give you a bit of a lesson on this one. Clean your brush, get a nice thick blue. So make the blue quite dark. Can you see how dark that is? That's a good strong bit of blue there. And then we'll put the red in it again so it goes purple. So I'm making it thicker. So I'm sort of sticking the brush in the blue blob. And then we'll add the red to this. So you start to get that purple. Oh, yeah. And then add a little bit of the colour we've not used yet, which is the orange. So I'll pop some orange in there. And can you see, every time I add a bit of orange, it starts to go towards a grey, a dark, almost like a black, a bluey black colour. There we go, perfect. So that grey is a shadow grey, and it's the most used colour of all. So it's blue with a spot of red and little blobs of orange. How's the colour coming on? Is it dark? Is it thick? Is it strong? Is it a heavy colour?
It is.
Good.
It's very bold.
I like it. Fill your brush up, and then we're going to paint in some darker mountains, but focusing the energy more towards the left at this point, okay? So again, sort of painting over what you've done, but making them a bit darker. So I'm going to take this chunk here, I want to go over it again, and then I'm going to basically bring it down. Can you see I'm overlapping? So it's coming down on a diagonal, and what that'll do is give you some separation. It'll give you some recession, which I'm sure some people don't want recession, but we'll bring it down, and then we'll fill it in, and we'll fill that chunk of paint in towards the tape. So we've brought it right down. Now, if you look close at this, you can see I've been a bit up and down with it to try and make it look as though it's a mountain that's overlapping another mountain. Can you see where you get the dark versus the light? So you get that sort of separation of colour. Does this make sense? Yeah? Yes.
You're going all the way to the tape as well this time.
Yeah. So you're kind of painting not half, but sort of 2/3 of that entire area. Now, if your paint like mine is bled a little bit, that's what we call bleeding paint. Just here, can you see where it's red in, bled in? So you can just, as it starts to dry, you can just go back in and pop in a little bit extra, like so. Perfect. And there's one more thing we can do. We can clean the brush really well, and rather than use tissue, we're going to use his fingers. So if you have a look at the brush here, we're going to basically squeeze the water out the brush and make the brush kind of go a bit flat, if that makes sense. Yeah, so we'll give it a squeeze, okay? And you can lay that brush flat. If you look close around sort of this mountainous area here, you can lay it flat and you can drag the brush on the side, and can you see it takes a bit of like a lighter line away. So it's popping a bit of shape. If that doesn't happen for you, give it a bit of encouragement, give it a bit of a scrub, but squeeze the brush every time you do it, and then drag some light in those mountains. So squeeze it every time. Literally lay the brush flat and draw it over the wet paint. If your paint's too dry, give it some encouragement, but it comes off really easy if the background is a bit damp. But it's a way of adding a bit of form, a bit of shape, a bit of contour. And like I say, if it doesn't come off, scrub it a little bit like this, and it will come off eventually, okay? Then, once you've done that, folks, again, give it some encouragement there. What we're going to do is we're going to very carefully, slowly, because it can rip here. If your masking tape is very sticky, then do this like you're taking a plaster off a nice hairy arm. Your hairy arm, not somebody else's, because if somebody else don't get your hairy arm. Nice and steady, peel it down, The masking tape that we're providing is spot on for this. It comes off lovely, and it gives you an edge. So you've got sky, mountain, sea or lake or whatever you decide. So even at this point, Derek,
that's
you've
quite
got
a revelation.
Picture.
Yeah.
You've got a picture. Yeah?
That's quite a revelation. Can I just see,
look at this? We've got goosebumps in the studio. Is that good?
See that? Like that already feels like we're well on the way. And you can see the definite difference in colour and depth of colour. Now you get a depth of field a bit, don't you?
Absolutely. So it's just by having a lighter grey versus a darker grey. Beautiful. Well done.
It is.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I'm impressed.
Let's give that a minute to dry, then we'll come back to it.
Okay, we've got a picture in the meantime. I forgot I'm here to work as well. I've got to do a bit of work now, haven't I? We've got a picture from Liz. And this is Liz's second time she's tuned in to the Craftalong with Matthew, but this was her first attempt and she thoroughly enjoyed it. She's very, very pleased with that. It is superb actually, isn't it? I mean, I had no idea. I don't know why, I just never even thought about how difficult or not watercolouring might be. I just thought actually it's probably something that will never come into my life. You have a picture of someone sitting very patiently for hours on one of those tiny little camping chairs by a coast. We've all walked past them when we've been out walking. You thought, how amazing. I'd never be able to do that. And actually this has been a real eye-opener. An email in from Pauline. Hello, Pauline. Matthew is a great teacher. She's very, very new to watercolour, but she gets the results that she wants and she's pleased every single time. It's amazing. There are so many emails coming through. Carol has emailed in as well. She's painting along tonight. Welcome, Carol. Matthew's a fantastic tutor. And Watercolor TV is the best way to learn to paint. And I have to say, I mean, I have watched the show before, your last one-day special show, where the one-day special sold out. So they had an hour where they could just, you know, paint away with Paola. It was fantastic. Lots of pennies dropped all at the same time. We've had another message from Irene. Hello, Irene, who is watching and recording. And she's got the brush. The brush is the key, isn't it, here? And she says this kit is amazing value and it's excellent, really, really good. All of that, remember, you're talking a £5 now and you're not too late to be part of this. There are hundreds, if not thousands of you already involved in this. You're watching it for free to get to the materials that we're using, the artist grade materials and the all-important brush as well. So you get the same kind of results that you're seeing from this show, because that's the difference. Yes, you might have a brush at home. You know, you might have paid tuppence halfpenny for a brush at home. It's not an artist grade brush. It's not this size. It's not this specification. So if Matthew's giving you the tuition and you're using a completely different brush, you'll get completely and utterly different results, I'm sure, as well. Lizzie has messaged in. Hello, Lizzie, who says, evening, everyone. I'm so happy about this show. Oh, she was lucky enough to do a workshop with Matthew a couple of years ago. And she says, if you think you can't do it, you really, really can. And I was one of those people who was determined that, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. I watched that last show and I thought, I can't wait to be sat here at this table doing this right now. And actually, I really didn't think I would even see results, even if I was watching along. And I am.
There is so much to learn in the world of watercolours, and like I say, there's nothing finer than this, but then also checking out your Watercolour TV membership, because there's nowhere on this planet that you can get 15 months. It's a 12-month subscription that you get normally if you buy it online, but here via the craft store, nearly said it, got it right that time. I can see it at the back of the camera, someone's wrote it in big letters, the craft store. You get 15 months, so we're giving you 3 months for free, folks. And there is over 1,000 hours of watercolour tuition, unlimited watch again and again access. You can't go wrong from complete beginners right through. It's a great way to learn watercolours. But it's amazing how quick time goes as well.
I know.
Time is flying, so we need to crack on with this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take some more masking tape, folks, and we're going to paint the area, the base, the rocky area of the castle. So we're going to mix a few colours here as well. So a little bit of masking tape. And what we'll do is we'll pop this one quite a decent way down. So probably about halfway between the area of the distant mountains. It's quite hard to see there, but basically there where the finger is where I'm popping the tape. So it's about halfway from the edge of the mountain down to the bottom. So that is where we're going to pop in the rocks and the little bit of tree, and of course the castle. And we're going to mix up 3 colours now, folks, so get your brushes at the ready. Make sure you press the tape down. And what we'll do is we will get some more of that grey. I want to mix more if you've run out of it. So you take the blue, you add the red. Try and make the colours fairly strong if you can. So add the red, so you get the purple, remember, and then add little bits of the orange. Not much orange is required for this one. So that's that one. So that's a nice kind of strong grey, similar to what you had before, but you can always mix more if you need to. Clean your brush, clean the brush. It's always a good tip, by the way, to wipe off the excess colour on the side of your water pot before you actually, or shake off the drips. Us fellas are good at that, you know, with plenty of practice. And what we'll do is we'll take the orange and we'll keep it clean. What we'll do is we'll put some orange on its own from there. Just pop it here, look. Again, fairly strong for the orange. So we've got 2 colours. And then the next colour is going to be, again, a little bit of water. And mix a bit of a green, a dark green. How do you get green? Orange with a touch of blue. Because orange has got a lot of yellow in it. So if we mix, there you go, that nice kind of dark green. So can you see? We've got 3 colours. Strong grey, orange, and then we've got the green as well. So we've got the 3 colours there. And we're going to work all 3 together to paint this in. Make sure that grey is quite heavy, folks, a good strong bit of colour. And I want to go straight into that grey, and pop the palette down and basically press the tape down, and we're going to paint in from about halfway. Be creative. Imagine that you're doing another bit of a mountainous area here, but as you're working along at home in the studio, as you go along that tape edge and you start to work higher, start to play around with your colours. Treat your palette as a pick and mix, okay? You've been to the cinema, that'd be nice to go to the cinema, wouldn't it? You know, it's been a while. And grab some colours from your palette. So pick and mix. So this particular time, I'm popping some orange in. And I'm mixing, okay? So just keep basically alternating between the grey, bit of orange, and it starts to get that brown tinge. Have you got a brown tinge on your paper, that is?
I'm getting there. I'm just getting back to grey again. I keep going to purple.
That's
Sorry.
fine. Purple works because the orange will turn it grey when you mix it on your paper. Yeah? So it mixes on the paper. So it doesn't matter. If your colour's too purple, it'll work fine. It'll work absolutely fine. So it's starting to, if you look at this, it's starting to overlap. Can you see the overlap here? So it doesn't matter if your colour's too purple.
Yeah.
Make a start, crack on with it, because the orange that comes in later will change it to browns and greys. It doesn't want to be too dark. It wants to be a mixture of all colours. So it's alternating at this point between the orange and the grey, okay? And then I want to make a little start on the castle here. So if you look so far, you can see I've basically got this sort of big chunk of rock, if you like. I keep overlapping it, keep giving it some extra texture, some extra character, that kind of thing. It's working quite nice there. And here's a good tip for those people watching as well. If your colours start to dry up a little bit, I mean, it's really warm in the studio, so all the lights and everything means that the colour dries quickly. But just add a little dot of water and it'll just bring it alive. You can leave that palette as is, come back to it in a couple of weeks or next week for the show, and you can reactivate that colour. You don't have to clean it because chances are you're going to use those colours anyway. How are we doing? Good? Yeah?
Yeah.
Keep going, keep adding bits of the grey and make it darker. Nice.
Oh, thank you, Katrina. She
Good
says
stuff.
mine's looking all right so far. That's just good. Oh, it's her 40th birthday tomorrow, and this is her birthday present this evening.
Happy
Amazing.
birthday.
Happy birthday. Have a wonderful time.
We're going to paint in the first tower of Harlech Castle, which is basically just like a sort of rectangular shape with a curvy top.
So that's going right at the top.
Yeah, it wants to be higher than your mountains, okay? Can you see it's higher than your mountains?
Okay.
Okay, make sure the colour's strong. Mix more, add more blue if you need to. Don't be afraid to get that little bit of water, but the stronger here, the better. Harlech Castle was one of the first castles actually built in Wales.
Oh, was
it? Yeah, so it's a really ancient one, and it's got 4 very definite towers, but you can only see 2, maybe 3. It depends where you're looking from.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's quite high up, and it's next to the sea as well. So it's based on Harlech Castle. Now I've painted a line, a straight line, and I'm filling it in towards the rocks. Can you see that wedge? That sort of little sort of square piece in the middle. If I just tilt it forward, you might see the light better there. There you go, beautiful. Can't go wrong. Again, folks, if your colour's drying up at home, a dot of water just on the tip of the brush. It doesn't want much watercolour. A little bit goes a long way with water. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to paint in another tower, but this one preferably could be a little bit taller. It's not essential. We'll pop that in, block it in. So also think to yourself, there's no sketching as well, you know, there's no sketching involved in this, it's just painting, which is great.
I think there are a lot of people worry that they don't feel like they have artistic ability, and I'm definitely one of those people.
There's certainly a fear that surrounds painting. I think it's something that I've come across for years, you know, and I try to take that fear away. I mean, if you've only got a look, and this is a crafty plug for the Facebook page, Matthew Palmer Artist, make sure you hit follow on that one. You'll see all those nice little watercolour demos. In fact, I've done one today. It's free to watch actually on Facebook, so make sure you hit follow and you can see me painting a little bit of a Yorkshire Dales kind of scene on there.
Oh, nice.
Just using the 3 colours from these kits as well. So perfect. So how are we looking over there, Derek? Have we got a bit of a silhouetted castle?
I do feel it's definitely. I'm not.
It's looking good.
Because I was watching the TV there. I wasn't sure whether it was yours I was looking at or mine.
Nice, I like it. I like it, it's good.
So I'm just going to say it's good no matter what.
Confidence is great. What we're going to do now is just paint in a couple of more little bits of detail, and then we'll give it a couple of minutes. But let's just keep chucking some paint on this paper. So to the right of this, we're going to paint a shorter tower, but it's literally going to come out from the edge. So we're going to fill it in. Can you see that kind of L shape I've painted in there?
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's the same colour. Again, make the colour stronger, don't be afraid. Where this dark silhouette castle meets the rocky area, pop a few random brush strokes. Can you see these random brush strokes I'm bringing in? It's working down to the tape, it's making it all nice and dark. It's giving you some shape, it's giving you some form, and it's going to sit it down.
So are the rocks a very, very similar colour to the castle then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of sits on there and it's all kind of part of it. I mean, if you go to this area, the castles are made out of the same local rock, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's
so it all
right,
kind of fits in, yeah? Now, the brush that we're using, if you can see this thing nice and close up here, you can see it's got a beautiful point on it. Now, when you say to somebody, hold the paintbrush, they tend to hold the brush like that, about halfway down. Whereas if you're going for detail, crawl to the end like a pencil and literally rest on your paper. Let's get close into the castle and pop in some little turrets, some flags and some tourists and stuff, yeah? Mm-hmm. We can do that, can't we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, no expense spared here on the craft store, eh? We're going to pop some little lines.
Some little they are little, aren't they?
Yeah, we're going to pop some little sort of little spots and try and use the point. There's a little flagpole there, the English heritage. Can you see?
Oh, well, I've taken one really off.
It's an old castle, so don't worry too much.
Oh, I've got a complete miss.
It does get very windy around that coastline, if I'm honest with you. So I wouldn't worry too much, but just little bits of random stuff. And actually, while you're on a detail mission, have a little go in your sky at painting in a bearded chuff, okay?
Okay.
All right? We've had a request. We've had a request for a chuff, all right? Just here, nice and close in. I'm shaking, I'm excited. Can we get close in and we can see this little sort of bearded chuff. So you put one line in, leave a gap and do the other side, and that's a bearded chuff. Actually, that's more like a seagull, but it's fine, it's fine. And we'll do another one.
Oh, see, mine was a line down. Not quite sure
You've got
how
to
I
have
can
3
fix this.
seagulls. That one's got a kid's ice cream in its mouth, the other one's got a sausage roll. It's happened to the best of us, that, hasn't it, eh? Seagull coming down and pinching his ham butty, or cob, or roll, or whatever you call it. Now, there's just one last thing I want to do at this stage, and it's the colour we've not used yet, which is the greeny colour. Now, it's probably gone a bit dry, like my sense of humour, but you can see it there. Just going to pop a little bit of water with the green, reactivate it. If yours is too pale or not green enough, just stick a bit more orange in it and stick a bit more blue. You can't go wrong, look. Beautiful. It's like a dark green. Yeah? And then we're going to take the brush and kind of on this sort of right corner, if you've got a bit of a space there, then fill it with a tree, some bushes. So basically I want to spot, I'm spotting the brush. Again, just notice how I'm holding the brush and I'm resting on the paper and I'm dotting and spotting a bit of green and even just little bits on the edge. I mean, there's all sorts of random trees and things going to be around here. Using the tip of the brush. I mean, these brushes, these are manufactured by the SAA and we know they make wonderful quality products. So I think that the brush on its own is worth more than the actual kit here. So it's a really good little deal to get yourself started. And I want to get a cheeky plug, folks. If anyone wants to have a go at painting this Sunday, 27th June, get yourself onto the Watercolor TV website and click on the workshop tab, because I'm teaching a live virtual workshop using these 3 colours, and you can paint a steam train in watercolours.
Awesome.
So it's a paint along session on Sunday this week. That is looking good, folks. Have you got a few bushes?
I have.
Beautiful.
I have. It's quite stark, mine. I'm still trying to work out what to do with this, but
okay.
Hey, it's fine.
We're going to very carefully, slowly and carefully, take that tape away, folks, peel it down, and that will give you another clean edge. And then we have a castle silhouette, we have distant mountains. What we're going to do is going to give that a couple of minutes to dry.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can talk about Watercolor TV and various things.
I'm going to have to have another flagpole on mine, I think.
Once it's had a bit of chance to dry. Does that work? Is
yeah,
that a good
perfect.
Plan?
Let's talk about Watercolor TV, actually, because if you're thinking, right, okay, 3 colours, and I've got the basis of a watercolour painting, as we're doing right now. If you're following along with us, you're probably thinking, gosh, and there'll be a lot of people who came in and bought the workshops over the 3 weeks. And they know what they're doing. A lot of them are coming in for the first time though. I'm going to give that a go. But if you're coming into this completely cold, you're a paper crafter, you just happen to switch on right now halfway through the show and you're thinking, actually, I want to be a part of this as well. Or maybe you've got a couple of workshops under your belt, a couple of craft-alongs like this, and you're thinking, actually, do you know what? I'm super, super impressed with myself. I've done really, really well. I want to do more. But actually, there are certain kind of things that I do want to paint. How do I do specifically a this or a that or the other? And that is what Watercolor TV is all about, because I've had a little peek under the bonnet, so to speak, and I've had a little look through all of the videos that are available and whatever, and they're the kind of things that you are going to want to paint as well, and you'll be at it forever and ever and ever. So usually a 12-month subscription, should we call it, to Watercolor TV is the price that we've got here, $49.99. If you go directly to Watercolor TV's website. But what we're doing is we're saying, okay, well, that's the price of a year's membership. How about having 15 months for the price of a year? Because you can't do that directly through Watercolor TV's website. but you can do it through us here at the craft store, and we can split it down into 2 payments as well, which is brilliant. So 2 lots of £25. I have to tell you that in terms of the value, and of course what you're watching right now is a very quick snapshot. It's like a peep through the letterbox at your journey into watercolour, because you, like me, might have thought, there's no way I could ever do that. Brilliant. You're out on your Sunday walk, you go past someone who's sat in a seat over a watercolour, you look over their shoulder, because we're all nosy, and you think, that's amazing, I only wish I could do that. And you probably have no inkling whatsoever to do it. And you've found Matthew, you've come here, and you're like, oh, really? Really? Can I do that? We've had so many messages in tonight during the show as well. Susan's painting along tonight. Hello, Susan. And who? Nancy, Anne, and Phil. They're having a little craft along with us as well. This is really, really brilliant. And who's along? Elaine's on for the 3rd time right now. Fantastic. Nancy is loving the show. Welcome, Nancy. And Val is watching as well. She thinks Matthew is so talented. He is as well, because actually he's a great teacher as well. It's not just about what he can do, it's the gift that actually he's gifting to us. Because you're not even paying the £5 for that, are you? For someone who will walk you by the hand and say, actually, you know what, chill out, it's very easy. It's very easy to pick up the basics and to get you started to make you more confident. Because that's the thing, isn't it? It's the first few steps, Matthew, isn't it?
It is. It's like, after all the years I've been teaching art, which is quite a long time, you know, 25 years, something like that, and it's like following a recipe book, but it's not until you finish it that the recipe works, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have to finish as well, because so many people say, oh, that's not working, I'll forget it. Just carry on, finish it off, give it a go, and we are at a stage now with this that we're going to finish this off. This last 5, 6, 7 minutes of the picture now is going to change it. I'm excited for you. I am.
I honestly,
I'm buzzing. I've got goosebumps everywhere.
Chuffed at where we are so far.
Let's do this. Okay. So next thing to do is put some reflections in of this castle, and then my favourite bit is putting some highlights in, which we'll do. Okay. So let's basically come back and kind of use whatever's left in the palette, if I'm honest here. So I mean, that grey's gone a bit dry. It's mainly the grey that you tend to use, so I want to take some blue, again, fairly strong, and then again, you know the routine, folks, if you use the grey, mix it with the red so you get the purple, and then pop a little bit of the orange into that colour, and that will give you a dark colour, very similar to the one that was just used for the castle, or castle, depends on where you live.
Castle.
Yeah? Castle or castle. Wonderful. So yeah, there it is. So a nice dark colour, okay. Now, reflections in the sea, you don't tend to get a huge amount in the sea because it's pretty active, but a little bit would work quite nice. This is the plan of action, okay. We're going to take this brush and practice this first on your neighbour's picture if you're painting with somebody else while they're not watching, or just have a little scrap piece of paper. And we're going to paint fairly quickly, like this, forward and back, and put little horizontal lines, but fairly quickly painted. Now, my advice to you with these is just practice on the side of the board. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It makes it look like you're a professional if you paint on your board. Do you know what I mean? There you go, look at that. Practice them quick flicks. Try not to paint them like this with your tongue out, because they don't look right.
So it's very quick.
Try and be a bit swift with it, okay? So forward and back, I'm sort of moving into place here, forward and back, horizontal, but where the castle is, you'd obviously come a bit lower down because it would put that little, can you see that hint of reflection? It sort of sits it in the water. Horizontal lines. Notice the sort of almost like a sparkly effect that's created, and that's because the watercolour paper that we're giving you in these Craftalong kits has got a texture. It's called the knot surface texture. What that means is it's not rough and it's not smooth, honestly, okay? So that works really nice. And also, and please don't take this the wrong way, but we're also going to tidy up your bottom, and we'll do this. Hard work is what's required for tidying up your bottom, but basically here, this mountain that kind of goes off on the left side of the picture, it may have a little bit of seepage, around your bottom. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. How's your bottom doing?
Yeah, there's a lot actually. I have to say, I don't want to expose it on TV.
You can use this colour, and you can basically go along. You can go along, and you can tidy up. You can even pop little spots to represent little sort of distant stuff. So can you see that little bit of a dark line? It's the same colour just used for the reflection, but it's kind of painting over seepage. It's adding a little bit of spottage around the base. It's spotting the brush basically. You can make it a bit higher, and you can see it looks like trees and ice cream vans and what have you. There they go.
Right, now I need to just quickly interject, just in these last couple of minutes, just to remind you that if you're thinking, right, okay, well, yeah, I forgot that the Craftalong, I've been hearing about this, the Craftalong started tonight, and that's it, I'm too late to the party. Absolutely not. The kit is there for you to buy. Right now at £5, you get all the materials that you need to be able to do all 3 of the Craftalong. So tonight's, next Tuesday at 9 o'clock, the Tuesday after at 9 o'clock as well. 3 different images across those 3 weeks, but you can still very much get involved right now for £5. Because bear in mind, I know tonight's show is about to finish, but you'll be able to carry on watching, won't you? On rewind, so you'll be able to come back and see the technique for this again for quite some time to come as well. So that £5 really is going quite a long way if you think about it. It's an immense opportunity. So even if you're coming to this right now and thinking, you know what, actually I want to give this a go right now, you can absolutely come on in. You can be part of that. 565474 is your item number there. If this is your second or third, or maybe even more journey with Matthew here, then of course you can join up Watercolor TV as well. Get that 15 months of membership to Watercolor TV. 15 months for the price of 12. I mean, don't tell him. That's an amazing deal. That's more free Matthew, isn't it, really? And more fabulous projects for you to enjoy as well. And you may as well do it, because this is the only place on the planet where you can do that and get that kind of offer. Right, where are we up to?
Okay, so on your left side of the water, where it's just kind of a bit still and a bit blue, maybe, yeah? With the same colour, pick it up on the brush, but take some kitchen paper towel, and wipe off most of the colour, yeah? So you've created a very dry brush, very dry. Again, want to practice on the side of your board. Can you see how those brush strokes are a little bit more almost incidental compared to the first ones? And if you just pop in a few horizontal lines on that side of your picture, doesn't want a huge amount, just a few, just helps the water move, okay? Adds a bit of ripple to the water, which is really nice, yeah? Does that make sense? So you can see they're very, very few and far between, very sort of hit and miss, bit random really, and that's quite nice as well. Now, if you're working at home and you're a crafter, or you've sat close to the kitchen, and obviously being very careful to do this, you may possibly, Derek, and there's one on your desk, you might possibly have access to a craft knife. This is something something to obviously be careful, but something to think about doing. It's a great way of adding a bit of sparkle to water. Let me show you this, completely optional, okay? And it works lovely around the base of the castle. Physically, go in with the knife and just have a look at this and cut the paper. Look how nice that looks. Horizontal, it looks like sparkle. Now, we've not included a craft knife in the kits, folks, but if you've got one, if not, the picture works without it. Please do remember that, okay? But it's like the water's got a few waves on it, it's got a bit of movement. Does this make sense? Use the point of it, and the paper is thick, 300 gram, 140 pound, and don't be afraid to go in and cut it, okay? So that's a great little trick. And there's one last thing we want to do on this, and that's put some highlights in with a piece of kitchen paper and just a damp brush, okay? So what you do is you get your water on your brush, wipe off the excess a couple of times. So basically, you've got a damp number 6 brush, and on the left side of the tower, just watch me paint water down the side of that tower a couple of times, and then dry tissue on screen. Look, you can see, press it firmly. Can you see it takes the colour off? Now look how you can see that tower. And then we'll do the same on this side as well. It just like pops forward, and we can do the same on this tower. So on the left side of each tower, well worth doing, folks. Press it firmly, press it firmly. Can you see? What a difference here, okay? And any random little highlights. Now, it depends how much water you use with your colour, how much paint you use. But just remember, it's just 3 colours, and a little bit of water does go quite a long way. Press firmly, press firmly, press firmly. But can you see how I put little highlights in the rocks, like the sun's just catching, washing the paint off. Derek's having a blast with that craft knife over there.
I'm absolutely loving it. I'm just adding a little bit more.
It's quite addictive, isn't it, that?
Yes, it is, because you realise it could almost reflect the waves lapping in, couldn't you? Oh, I love it.
It's my favourite part of any watercolour, is popping highlights in, and just little highlights and little taps with tissue. You can keep doing this, but what a difference that makes. It brings the whole thing alive, it does. And of course, I'll show you this now, and then we can let Derek scratch away and dab away. But also in your kits, remember, you also get a couple of mounts. Yeah, okay. Which, if I just pop it on here, you can see how it kind of frames the picture. I mean, to get a bevel mount cut in a framing store will cost you a good few pounds, and there's 2 of these included. But what a difference that makes to the picture. It really brings the painting alive.
Do you know what? That's absolutely brilliant. Matthew, you're back Tuesday next week at 9 o'clock.
Next Tuesday, painting a cottage.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that. Brilliant. Okay, so make sure that you get yours and be here same time next week for number 2.